Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tales of the Unberechenbar. It's been a while, but I did promise you this interview. I am now sat here with the former World Television Champion of UKW, Joe Sedgwick. Joe, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Tommy. I appreciate you getting me on.
Yeah, well, I've known you for about as long as I've been here now, so we're talking like 8 years. I've known you since you were a little kid.
Yeah.
And I've watched your growth over becoming a wrestler. So and you've got a great story to tell as well. So I really wanted to get that out there for people because it's inspirational and it's, a great story of family, triumph and tribulations and all that. So what I really want to start with, because I always start with the same thing on this, when you leave school, you're supposed to have a plan. Now, obviously, your time in wrestling, training, and that started before you left school. But could you take us through the whole journey that's taken you here and everything that came in, but in your own words?
So when I left school? So when I left school, I wanted to do the TV and film. So I did college in that for a few years, and then I went to uni to do it. But then I only did uni for like 2 weeks, and I dropped out so I could do wrestling. But wrestling, I've done it since it started. I got in the little ring, the little 14-footer that we got. I don't remember it. I've just seen pictures of seeing.
Oh, I remember it.
But yeah, I've always been involved in wrestling. I was always at the Wrestlebrations. Like I've not missed one. And then even training, it's funny because before COVID, I was a bit like on and off with training. I was a bit like, oh, I'll stay home tonight. Like I won't go training. But then just before COVID hit, I had my surgery, so I had all that time off for that. And then I'd just come back for a few weeks, and COVID hit, so we had to close. So then COVID made me want to come back even more. And then when we came back from COVID, it was just training. And then we had that training match. Monty watched it, and then he got me on the show, and I was like, I had that pre-show match with Sid, and then from there it's all in all and on. That's it. That's my story. How we going?
Yeah, I mean, I do remember that pre-show match, as you say, with Sid, and I remember it was a bit of a show stealer as well because the audience was behind you from the word go. I mean, when you hit that, was it an elbow drop at the end of it? Yeah, it was like a Macho Man elbow drop, and it got everyone up. Everyone was up in arms cheering for you. So you really took the moment and went with it. You mentioned your surgery. If you don't mind, could you take us through what that was actually about?
Yeah. So I think it was 2019. I think it was just before. Yeah, it was 2019. So I'd been having a bunch of headaches. So we'd gone to the doctors to get an MRI, and then I also had like this sort of lump on my side. So I went for an ultrasound on that, and then they pulled us into a room. And when we went in for the ultrasound, it was like, oh, so your MRI last week, we found this brain tumor. So then that weekend, I was in surgery, and I was like, shit. And then it was only a few days after. I think it was, I can't exactly remember the exact days. I know I had the surgery on the 11th because it was my brother's birthday. And then I wanted to get out as soon as I could out of the hospital. So I remember trying to walk, and I was walking with my head up like this. I can walk, and everyone was helping me. I had to go up and down the stairs, and then they let me go. And I remember just going home, just laying on the sofa and watching Mr. Bean all day. That's one thing I remember. But yeah, I had all that time off, and then so I was year 11 at that point. So I finally got back to school. I was finally getting back into it, like walking and everything, and then COVID hit. So I had that time off. But yeah, the brains, the surgery for me, it wasn't like that bad. Like obviously, like it didn't hurt because I had all the anesthesia and everything. I think it hurt more for my family, like my parents. I know they were like devastated over it, but for me, like looking back on it now, it's just one of the things. It's like I did worse when I fell and broke my wrist. So for me, I think that's worse than the surgery. But obviously, I think my dad would definitely have something different to say about that. But yeah, that's basically that. There's not really much else to go on with that. Yes, it's just. I still have the MRIs now. I still have to go and have the checkups. I think I only have one left. It should be February, I think, January, February time. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember. I don't think I knew about it before it happened, before you went in for surgery and that. But I do remember your dad telling me about it, and you know your dad. He's a very stoic kind of guy. You know, he doesn't betray his feelings very often. But you could tell he was worried.
Yeah.
You know, being a father myself, I can tell. I mean, I've never been through that myself. My child having to go through that, so I can't imagine what it's like for him. But you could tell he was very worried. But as you say, you know, you come out the other side, and yeah, one thing that's always got me about you as well is, you know, a lot of people when they have, you know, tumors and that, and they have them removed, they do try to hide the scars. Whereas you've always kept your hair short, as if you're wearing that like a badge of honor. I don't know if that's the way it's been for you, or if you just like your hair being like that. But when I see that, I just think, you know, proud of you for that. You know, it's part of who you are. You wear it.
Thank you. But the thing with that is, so when I first had it done, I was in college and I was like, all my mates was like, oh, get a skin fade, get a skin fade. I was like, I'm not getting a skin fade because you see my scar. So I used to always get it cut on like a 1 or 2 fade at the bottom, so you couldn't really see it as much. So it'd be like this length now. Yeah. But now I've just I've like, why not? I just get a skin fade. It looks better. And to be fair, not that many people ask about it. No. So it's one of the things. I just got to live with it. It's just, it is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Something I said when in my other interviews with such as Joshua Snow and Leonie Rose is that it's good to talk about these situations that you've been through, and I'm glad people will feel open enough to speak about them on this show, because anybody who's listening, because there are people out there who have suffered like mental health issues or have suffered physical issues as you have, that probably don't know how to get it out there and don't know how to talk about it. And, you know, I mean, obviously you've got a very good view of how it goes, you know. When I say good view, I mean like you're not hiding it away, you're not burying it all down, you're actually embracing it. It's part of your life, it's part of your story. You know, what's the point in complaining about it? Yeah, it's like someone close to me recently has suffered his third cancer, but hey, throughout it all, he's stayed happy. You know, he's living his life. He's just like, you know, it happens. Yeah, I can either sit down and complain about it, or I can live life to the fullest. I mean, it's my motto when I always say I will never complain about getting older, because some people don't get that chance. So every day is a gift. So yeah, that's that. Now going back to when you first started, as you say, we had that great training match, and I will say that was one of the best moments of my personal training life, because we had the match. I didn't even know it was your first match. You know, your dad just said to me, "Will you do a match for Joe?" Yes, I will. So we got in there. We had that mega match. He did the big swan dive on. Yeah. Well, you first backdropped me over the ropes. I went flying over. I saw the floor coming towards me. Then you did the big swan dive over onto me, and I think we finished on a DVD, I believe.
More than likely, it was John Cena's move, isn't it? So it probably was.
Yeah, but I remember your dad coming up to me afterwards and saying, you know, that was Joe's first match. Thank you for that. So that meant a lot to me. When you have like an audience member come up to you and say, oh, that was a great match, that's great. But when you have a father come up to you and say, that was my son's first match, thank you for that. That meant so much to me.
I appreciate the match as well, man, because I really enjoyed it. And that was, like what I would say, was the first time I properly had a match. And then that's what sort of got me onto the shows as well. It's like a few weeks after, I don't know, it might have been a month, might have been a few weeks, I got told that I was going to be on the pre-show. It was Pick Your Poison. I did originally have someone else, I can't remember who it was. And then Sid stepped in. And I just remember just panicking for the match. And then as soon as we stepped through the curtain, you know, it's one of them things, everyone says it, like you step through the curtain and all your sort of like panic and everything goes away. And it's one of them where you're like, nah, they're lying, like, you're going to panic. Yeah. It genuinely does, doesn't it? Like you walk through the curtain and everything just sort of just leaves. Like you're just focused on that. You've got the adrenaline and then you just go with it. But yeah, I know God to thank Sid enough for it. Yeah. I love that match.
Yeah, as I say, audience were well behind you, but you bring up a good point about stepping through the curtain. I don't think anybody talks about this enough, how when you're waiting backstage to go out for your match, your music hits, you wait for that point in the music to step out, but the moment you go through there, it's a totally different world, isn't it? Yeah. 100%. It's like you've been in the arena all day, you've looked in the ring, you've done some rolls in the ring, practiced moves, walked up and down the aisle, But as soon as you walk through that curtain and there's audience, whether it's an audience of 10, 20, 100, it don't matter. It's an audience. They're either cheering you or they're booing you. And it's a totally different world. Yeah, it's like you're not even the guy that you were before you stepped through that curtain anymore. But, right, so you mentioned about Monty got you on the shows, which, again, I think that will actually shock some people because I do think that some people will look at you being a Sedgwick and say, he got on the shows because his dad thought he was ready to go on the shows. But as you say, it wasn't your dad that got you on the shows. It was actually Mustafa Khan, as you say. Yeah. So, do you? This is kind of a weird question, but do you ever feel like you're putting up with that stigma that your dad runs the company, that some people are looking at you like, well, he's getting these shots because of that? I know you're not, obviously, and everybody upstairs knows you're not as well. But did you ever feel that stigma at all?
I think there's often few times, like when I got the Genesis strap the first time, especially because I was the first one to have it, I felt a little bit bad. Just because like I felt like I am like a Sedgwick. I know that like I've done the training and everyone's like, oh, you've earned it. But it's like, I don't know, feels a little bit weird. Even with the TV run I just had, I loved it. Like I loved having the matches with everyone. Like we had the match with Chris, had a match with Mo, had a match with Hamza Operation. It's just, I loved having the run, but I always feel like I'm taking that spot away from someone else when I've got like the TV title run. I loved it. Like I got to get like Chris. I give Chris that big pay-per-view match. We got you onto that big pay-per-view match. I was happy that I was getting people that don't normally get them sort of matches, getting them matches, if that makes sense. Yeah. But I think that's why I was okay with the title run. And then I just couldn't wait to drop it. But I don't know. It's just one of the things like I sort of feel bad when I have a title. Just because I feel like if it was anywhere else, I'd be over the moon. I'd be well happy. I've got a belt. Let's go. Like, yes. But I think because it's here, it sort of always sits in the back of my mind. Like, what if someone thinks I've only got this because I'm my dad's kid? But I think it's always just going to be one of those things. I think it's always going to be in the back of my mind. But it is just one of them things. You just got to live with it. Yeah.
It's got to be the thing about being second generation. I've always thought this when I've looked at guys like, say, Bret Hart, Cody Rhodes, the Roman Reigns, the many different ones. And it's like everyone always looks at it as like, oh, he's only got so far because of his dad or his mum or whatever, his granddad. You've got to actually think about all these people that don't get that far. I mean, it's like Roman Reigns is, of course, a prime example. He only got this far because of his dad. And I'm just like, when was his dad ever world champion? Yeah. His dad was a tag team champion, yes, and he's a legend, God rest him, but he was never a world champion. So saying Roman Reigns has got that far because of that, it makes no sense. But, in the end, UKW has been going for... God, how long would it be now?
2008, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we're talking 16 years at least. And, it's been going 16 years. So, obviously your dad I don't think he got his first world title until it was just after WrestleBration 7, I think it was.
I do not have a clue. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I think it was around that time. But the point was, a promoter, they're all right. People are all right saying, "Oh, he put it on his son. He's put it on." But if they were just putting on him because they're related or because they're friends, that's not a way to run a business. If the person isn't performing right, and you put one of the main belts on them, and they're not bringing people in, yeah. But then you just say, "Yeah, but well, he's my son. Of course I'm going to do it." Yeah. The point is, you were performing right. You were getting people up there, and I even said this to you when you got the Genesis title, because the storyline was you joined the Empire, and Mustafa Khan handed it to you. Yeah. And I remember pulling you aside afterwards, and I said, some people may say, you don't deserve it. You got it handed to you. What is the difference, really? You get it handed to you in a storyline, or you win it in a match in a storyline. Yeah. Now, that's the thing about wrestling. Winning a title is winning a title. It's just part of the story. It's moving the story along. And in the case of the Genesis title, it was replacing the Academy title, which was, at the time, the training title. Yeah. So you doing that was elevating it already because you were having mega matches with everybody. I mean, the 2 matches you had with Cliff Harrison, it was the lumberjack match and then the one where he beat you. Yeah, it was all story based. It was all drama. It was bringing it all out, and it captured everyone's imagination. So I would always say, I've said it to you a million times. I've said it to your brother as well. You're a legacy, but you're making a name for yourself. You don't wrestle like your dad. Brett doesn't wrestle like you. You've all got your own style. You all dress differently. Well, apart from that one WrestleBration when you wore your dad's gear. That was a story. But that's the thing. But you talk about other places. You've started wrestling at other places now. Tell us about that.
So wrestling at other places, I've only worked. So I got the opportunity to do PCW. We went with. Who did we go with? I think I went in the car with Sid. Sid took me, and then we did a big 6-man. It was JPR, NRG, and then it was me, Evan, and Steve. That was my first one. And then I did LDN a few months back. I think that was January. I think that was a few weeks before I took the TV title here. I worked Mercer there. And then...
Oh, yeah, matches with Mercer are always awesome.
Thanks. And then a couple, I want to say month, 2, I don't know, I can't remember. I got on Win. Me and Mercer just travelled up. We just went training for the seminar. And they just came up to us like, a couple of these guys have pulled out. Do you mind just stepping in for this tag? And we're like, yeah, of course, yeah. And like, even if it was a 3-minute squash, we got the opportunity to get on the card. And it's like, I hear that, so people will come here and they'll see on the card that it says 3-minute squash or whatever. And they're like, oh, God's sake. But you have to think like it's an opportunity. You've just got on the card. You've still got a match. You're still getting to go out in front of the crowd. You're still getting like that spot in front of an audience and that spot on TV. And it's like me and Mercy, who was over the moon with it. Like, even if it was a 2-3 minute squash, like we got to work with Shreddy and what's his name? I think it's Alex Henry. Don't quote me on that though. But like we got to work 2 completely new people, and it was a really good experience. It was fun. We got to meet a lot of people there as well. It's like a lot of people like we train at Rampage, so we knew quite a few people there. But yeah, it was really fun. I really enjoyed that one. But I'd love to start getting out more, but it's more time at the minute. It's like training so much. It's like this week, Monday, Wednesday, and then Friday I was here. Saturday I'm here. Tomorrow I'm going Rampage. And then last week I was at PPW. It's just trying to get that time in for wrestling and then also having time like to go out with my mates and just actually have a life.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, they always say that's the thing about wrestling is it does take up all your time. I mean, you hear about, the big companies like WWE, AEW. I mean, I think AEW is a bit more open with their times, but WWE was like, 300 days a year they were on the road. Yeah, and I mean, but then, they say that AEW is a bit more free with the times, but a lot of their people are free agents as well. So it's like they're doing AEW one day and then they're heading out to Japan the very next day to do a 10-day tour or something. So as much as they're saying, we've got more freedom, it's like, it's more freedom, but you're doing the same amount. But that is the wrestling business. I memean, we all see it. You've really got to commit to it. Yeah. I mean, I remember hearing a story years ago where Hulk Hogan said that it's a Hulk Hogan story, so take it with a pinch of salt. He said that a TV company was wanting to do a pilot episode for a wrestling show, and he said to him, "You can't do that. You've got to literally practically remortgage your house, put everything on the line for a wrestling company. You can't do a pilot, test the waters, and imagine it's going to go anywhere. You've really got to, go balls in, sort of, isn't it?" Right. There was something I was going to ask you a second ago. I've forgotten all about it. Yeah. Going back to Genesis title, and now obviously it's become a big thing since then. We got the weekly show Ignite. Plenty of champions come along from there. But talking about everybody that you've met through wrestling, talking about the characters in the ring, I remember asking your dad this question as well. Who, out of everyone you've met, is least like their character in real life? Let's break the kayfabe here.
Least like the character. Oh God, I'm trying to think of people we've had now. So I want to say someone like Evan, but Evan's just as much of a prick as he is in ring. Like I'd say Sketch.
We love him for it though.
I'd say Sketch, but he's just turned face on it, so
Yeah.
God.
Hasn't changed his personality in the ring.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that got him over, so he's stuck with it.
I'm trying to think now. I'd probably have to say someone like CJ.
Well, yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Oh God, my mind's just gone completely blank, like just complete opposite to the character. Even someone like Mercer.
Yeah, your dad said the same thing.
Yeah, even someone like Mercer. It's like as soon as he's got that singlet on and his towel around his neck, he's a different person, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, I've really enjoyed watching his growth, especially.
Yeah, it's mental because he came from like the Dogs of War, didn't he? And now he's TV champion. It's mental. I'm proud of him, though.
Yep. Yeah, no, I mean, Sebastian Mercer is definitely a guy to watch out for. Anybody who's listening to this, if you know of any wrestling companies or you own a wrestling company, look out for Sebastian Mercer, because definitely look out for Joe Sedgwick as well. But another thing that I didn't actually know about until I did my first episode of this with your dad, WrestleBration was all about you in the beginning, wasn't it? Because the first WrestleBration was actually your birthday party.
Yeah. So everyone keeps asking me about this, and it's like, so we did the kickoff this year, and they asked me about it. It's like, I was 5. I don't remember this. It's like, yes, I know that it was like my birthday party. I know it, but I don't remember it. Like, I know that we had like Kevin Thorne coming, but I've got his I don't know what it's called. I'm just gonna say stick. Yeah, he had a stick with like a skull on top, and he signed it. But I don't remember it. I was 15 years ago now. That's mental. But yeah, it was my birthday party.
Yeah, it is crazy that, because everyone looks at WrestleBration. It is like UKW's WrestleMania, and to think that it started out just as a guy wanting to do something special for his son's birthday. I mean, that is a crazy thing. And now you look at it, because I don't think they even intended on doing like a WrestleBration 2. It was just one thing. They called it WrestleBration because it was celebrating a birthday. But now look at it. We're 15 years in. We've just had WrestleBration 15. We had a great show that night. You and Hamza definitely stole the show. I'm not even blowing smoke there. Anybody who hasn't watched it, watch WrestleBration opening match. Joe Sedgwick, Hamza Masoa with Mercer doing the running at the end. But the whole match, it could have ended at any time. I was stood on the stairs watching it, and there was so much happening. I just thought, that's got to be it. That's got to be it. That's got to be it. Jeez.
Thank you, man. I always love working with Hamza and Mo, like NRG together. It's like any chance I get to do some kind of tag match with him or a singles match, I just love working with him. I think because we're mates outside of the ring as well. I think we have that sort of chemistry.
Yeah.
The same goes with like Mercer and Evan. Even like Chris, I think I have a really good chemistry with Chris, because we get in there like, and we just call it on the fly. We just go for it. Even with JPR.
Yeah, good people to work with when you can get somebody who can actually just work on the fly, because stuff goes wrong in matches. Yeah. But when you can actually hit the moment, something goes wrong, right? Get back up. We'll do this. Straight into it, and it doesn't even seem like it's changed.
Yeah.
Or when you can actually trust somebody, like when you're up on the top rope with them, when you can actually trust them to protect you on the way down and get this move done. That move you did with Hamza off the top rope, the Blue Thunder off the top rope. To a lot of people, because I always worry about doing stuff. I worry about doing suplexes off the rope because yes, we did, yeah. But I worry about that mostly because I'm worried that I'm going to sandbag somebody. The fact that you can have that chemistry with somebody that you can just go straight into it, it works out brilliantly every time.
Yeah. But back to the British match, I was so happy that like I got that spot with Hamza, and he deserved to win the match, and that pop that he got at the end, because it was just that nice, simple, flat out hit the rolling moves, 1, 2, 3. Everyone was like, yeah, let's go. I know we did a bunch of falsies before, but it's just like, I didn't kick out of a finish. She didn't kick out of a finish. Like when it was the finish, it was the finish. And I think when we got there, people knew it was. Yeah. So it meant that little bit more because everyone was like, 1, 2, 3, yes, let's go. But I was so happy just so that I could give Hamza that moment, and then he give it to Mercer straight away. But I really loved it. I think the matches I had with the TV title are some of my best. Definitely, like I think. So we had
we did it from Hubris for a start.
Yeah. So match with Paul. I think from the match with Paul, I think having that title and having that sort of spot on the card, I've gotten so much. Like the experience I've got from there, I think I've gotten way better from that match. Is I haven't gone and watched that match back in ages now, but if I do, I think I'd be able to watch it and be like, oh, I could have done something different there. I could have done something different there. But I think mainly since that January match with Paul, I think every pay-per-view match that the sort of that involved the TV title or that involved me, I think every single one has been a hit. And I loved it. I loved the TV title run. I loved getting to work with everyone I got to work with. And I am really appreciative of that opportunity.
Yeah, well, that's something I hear a lot from young wrestlers, especially rookies. They'll say, "Oh, I don't like watching my matches back because I don't like seeing myself wrestle." And on the one hand, I can understand that because I cringe at a lot of the stuff I've done. But really, you have to watch them back to notice what needs changing. Yeah. Unless you can actually remember that match 100% and know what needs changing, you need to watch it back and just go, yeah, that I need to work on.
See, I'm sort of like the complete opposite. Like sometimes I'll have a match and I get back, I'm like, I can't wait to watch that back. Yeah. It's like I love getting to watch my matches back, but unlike like if I've gone out and I've had a bit of a bad one and I come back and I'm like, oh, I didn't really enjoy that one. It'll take me a while to get to watching that one. Yeah. But it's like the Bratian match with Hamza, the match I had with Mo, Owl match, the match I had with Chris, all these like big matches I've had. Like I've come back and I've had the clips sent through to me from people that filmed it in the crowd, or like I've had the live edit that we went back and watched. Like that night, I'll go home and I've still got the adrenaline. There's no way I'm sleeping after a match, especially a pay-per-view match. Yeah. So I get back home, I'll make something to eat, and I'll sit and I'll watch it, and I probably like get gassed up about it. Like I'll start like, oh, so like, I'm just proper like, I don't know, but I love watching the sort of the big matches back just for that feeling and experiencing, and I get to watch it. Like the match with Hamza, I get to go back and watch that ending as much as I want. Yeah, and I just love it that it's just that nice, simple hit the move, 1, 2, 3 finish. But yeah. Unless it's a bad match, I do always watch mine back.
Another thing about that match with Hamza as well is people talk about like split crowds, but I've never seen a crowd as split as yours. They were literally at war with each other because someone would be chanting "Let's go Hamza," and before they could even finish "Let's go Hamza," the other side would be "Let's go Joe."
I don't get it. Sort of like the whole build to that match was me literally pushing like NRG around. Yeah. We'd screwed each other out of everything. I was pushing Hamza around for ages. Like the whole story was me being like a prick. Yeah. So then we got to the match and we was like, oh, it's fine. Like Hamza will get cheered, I'll get booed. It's fine. We'll just hug at the end and then we'll go back to being baby faces. But no, like I was literally pushing Hamza around, like brushing his face and everything. And I was like, "Go on, Joe, do it again!" Like, whoa, like we're supposed to be like cheering for Hamza. But yeah, I didn't understand it. Like, I'm grateful that it was a split crowd, but I was a bit like, "Oh, all right, cool."
Yeah, I think the thing about it was more a sign of respect for both of you. Yeah. Was the audience had grown with both of you, so really they had to pick a side. But like I said, that is the first time I've seen it where it is literally 50-50. Because they were warring with each other on those chants. Yeah. It actually got to the point where the "Let's go Hamza, let's go Joe" were actually over the top of each other as well. It wasn't like they were waiting for one to finish the start. It wasn't like, "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks." It was literally over top of each other. So yeah, I mean that was good. Right, we're coming to end now. So obvious question for any wrestler: if you could have a dream match with anybody, living or dead, I'll tell you what, living and dead. So, who would be your dream matches?
Are we saying dream matches as in anyone?
Anyone.
Absolutely anyone. Well, I'm just going to be a mark now. My dream match is going to be John Cena. It breaks my heart that he's going to be retiring. I've literally grown up watching him. I do the comeback. I do the shoulder, duck the line, and I do the Blue Thunder. I even technically do his finish. I do the DVD, but he does a standing one, doesn't he? But he's been my inspiration from growing up since day one. I've always had his t-shirts, his wristbands, his hats, his spinner belt. And then, oh God, now I have to think of people that aren't even. God, you put me on the spot here. I'm going to end up saying someone, and they're still going to be alive.
Well, I'll tell you.
Who we got? Roddy Piper. Is he still alive?
No, he's not. No.
All right, cool.
No, his death was actually what got me training.
Yeah, I'd do. He's a sound one to name and say put forward.
That would be interesting as well because the style. Obviously, Roddy Piper had that erratic style to him. Your style is the total opposite of that. So it'd be interesting to see how those clash together.
Or even someone like Brody Lee, that I know has recently passed. But obviously, they're miles in front of where I am. I know I've got a long way to go before I even get anywhere close to these sort of matches. But I'm grateful for the spot I'm in. But this is why I'm starting to branch out and train other places, training with Rampage, training with Liam at PPW, just trying to get as many people as I can, as different opinions in, different ways to structure a match, different ways to do all these little bits, and I think that's what will help me sort of get to that next level. We've even been down to London and we trained with Connor Mills at Rev Pro. We drove there and drove back on the same night.
8-hour round trip.
Yeah, it was mental. And then we did New Wave as well. I've been there a few times with Flash. But it's just good to get around and meet new people and just learn all these different ways of wrestling.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, because I get around a little bit, not quite as much because I'm very local. But yeah, it's good to actually get down to different trainers, see different styles. Because it's I learned the main style here at UKW. Then I've been to other places that have done the Mexican style, which is very different. But yeah, so we're coming to the end of this now. So Joe Sedgwick, thank you for being on the show. Anybody who wants to come meet and learn from Joe, it's at UK Wrestling, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, yeah. Monday night, Wednesday night and Saturday morning to train, or you can watch him on the shows, which is sometimes Genesis Ignite. You do pop up on there now and again on Monday nights, and Friday Night Showdown every Friday. So Joe, thank you for everything. Thank you for everything. The training, the friendship. I love you to pieces, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate getting the opportunity to come on here with you today. I really, genuinely do appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Yes. Right, that's Wildcard Tommy Dillon here at Tales of the Unberechenbar. I will see you again soon. Ta-ta.